My name is Hena and I am thrilled to be talking with you today about Amina's voice and answering some of the questions you have. Your first question is when I was a child, if I was like Amina. And in many ways, I was similar to her when I was growing up. I, like her, was on the shy side a little bit, quiet and observant. I valued very much my friendships and had a friend in school who was similar to Sujin. My family was also a bit similar to Amina's in that my parents immigrated from Pakistan before I was born to the US. And so I did grow up balancing two cultures like her, having religious education like her, having my parents speak a different language at home and things like that. I did not have an older brother though, and I did not have Amina's amazing musical abilities or singing talent, sadly. That was something that I was inspired by my son to include, who is very musical like her. In the story, Amina has some trouble with her best friend, Sujin, and you ask what advice I have for kids who are having similar problems. So I think the root of the issue that Amina has with Sujin is not knowing what her place is anymore. Being a bit worried that Sujin's changing her name or talking about changing her name, and that Sujin's becoming friends with a girl who, they weren't friends with before. So the root of the issue is Amina feeling insecure and wondering, why is my friend acting different? Is she the same person that I thought she was? And I think those are really normal feelings to have. And I think especially during middle school, those are questions that a lot of people have about their friends that they have as people grow and change and start to explore new people and new hobbies and interests. They may not always align the way that they did in the past. And I think it's natural to feel a little bit confused at those moments and to maybe even feel worried or upset when your friend acts different. But I think the best thing to do at that time is to be as honest as you can with yourself and with your friend. With yourself in the sense of recognizing what's happening and accepting those feelings and realizing that it's normal to feel that way. Everybody feels that way, whether you're a kid or an adult, if your friend starts to act different than you expect them to. And I think it's really helpful to talk to your friend, even if it's a little bit awkward or embarrassing. You may be comforted to realize that they aren't feeling what you think, or that they are feeling the way you hope they did. And I also think it's important to realize that as much as your friends are very important, and I still have friends from elementary school who I love dearly, who I keep in touch with. Sometimes people do grow apart and change, and that's okay too. And you will have other friends in your life as you grow. So I think the best thing to do is to be honest and open and to be yourself more than anything else. So your next question is about the favorite books that I used to read over and over again as a kid. So I was definitely a rereader of books, especially my favorites, and I had a small pile of my favorite books that I like to sit with over and over again. And my family always found it funny that I'd be reading the same book again, and they said, really? And that book was Little Women, the one that I read the most, that they saw most often on the table or in my lap. And I love that book, and I still do. I also really enjoyed several of the Little House on the Prairie series. I had a few of them in my small book collection at home, and so I'd read those over and over again. And I also really loved Ramona Quimby as a character, and I think she was one of my favorite characters of all time. And I loved everything that Beverly Cleary wrote, but especially Ramona Quimby. And I think I admired her in many ways and wanted to be like her. The main characters in Amina's voice struggle in ways to fit in. And the question is, how do I think we can help people feel like they're an important part of our community? I think that the best thing to do when you're encountering someone who maybe is a little different from you or has a different background from you is to be interested, to learn, to take the time and make the effort to learn a little bit about who they are, what their background is, what their traditions and culture are like, what their family is like. I think the more you learn, the more you realize how similar everybody is at the root. We all have, our own, everything that makes us unique, but at the core, I think we're all very similar. And it's also an opportunity to discover and learn new things that you may not have known. I think it really helps people to feel important if you just take the time to get to know them. Finally, what advice would I give to young authors as they learn to improve their writing skills? I still struggle every day with writing in certain ways. Sometimes it's overcoming that doubt that can seep into your head that this isn't good, or no one's going to want to read this. And so I think part of it is realizing that not everything you write is going to be brilliant, especially not the very first draft that you write. But the best thing you can do is to keep at it and keep writing, and the more you do it, the better you'll become at it. And finally, just read. I think reading is one of the best ways to improve your writing, to read as much as you can, to read different types of books. As much as I was a rereader and reread my favorites, I also read books that were very different from my favorites. I read science fiction and fantasy and adventure, even though I liked realistic fiction the best. And I think that's one of the best ways to improve your writing, is to just keep reading. So good luck to you. I hope you continue writing and keep reading.